Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Breaktime Conversations, a YouTube channel where I have conversations around the theme of education. I have been a teacher all my life, and education fascinates me. And along my journey, I have met so many interesting and inspiring people. So I decided to document my conversations with them here so that you too can hear their stories and the amazing work that they do. I am here with Nisha Rao. She's the founder of L.I.F.E, which stands for Life is Fun and Exciting. She is an emotional health professional and does a lot of life skills coaching for preteens and experiential workshops as well for 14 to 16-year-olds to understand themselves, others, and for them to succeed in their environments through emotional literacy. Nisha is also a childhood friend of mine. We went to school, I think, all the way from primary to high school. Right,
Yes.
Nisha? Thank you for being here. And um, I know you do so much, and I'm so grateful that you're here to help us understand a little more about what we're going to talk about today, which is emotional literacy. So, for lay people like me, we have heard of emotional intelligence. Could you tell us a little more about emotional literacy?
Okay. Thank you. It's such a pleasure to have this conversation with you, Anupa. So, emotional intelligence is, of course, understanding what's happening to us on an emotional level, on the psychological level, if I can use a scientific term. Um, but a lot of people, how do they build that emotional intelligence, right? Where do you even begin? It's a word that, or a phrase that's thrown around, but really what does that mean? And being able to educate children, youngsters, and parents and teachers about how to do this and how to become up our EQ is what emotional literacy is. And it's not really, it doesn't limit us to only knowing our emotions. It's really with this self-awareness and understanding, who am I, what's my purpose, what are my values and core beliefs as a human. Yeah, not because of the culture I'm from, or caste or religion only, but as a human being, what is my purpose on this planet. And that allows us to really expand into community, into the environment. And that is emotional literacy, Anupa.
Okay, awesome. And I feel like that's something that we all need today, right? With all that that we're facing on an everyday
Absolutely.
basis. Yeah.
And I think this pandemic has sort of forced some of us to stop and take a good hard look at ourselves. No,
Yes.
where am I?
Yes.
Who am I?
Yeah, absolutely. So when we were chatting earlier, you were talking about the need to introduce this emotional literacy into the curriculum, into everyday school life. Would you like to,
Absolutely.
tell me more about why you feel that is so important?
Um, I think we've expanded so rapidly and so much globally. Today we're all so interconnected and everything is so technologically driven. However, what we're lacking is maybe a common human theme, or a collective view of what's good for nations or the planet. How do we together solve problems? Keeping a balance between self and other, one nation or another. And so it really can start when we talk about these topics right from when the kid is in grade 2, 3, when their cognitive skills are slowly evolving, also asking questions about maybe gender equality, religion and culture, all of these things. So I believe that these discussions held at such a young age will have a huge impact, when the same people are then adults and come into positions of power and decision making.
Yeah, we don't even talk about these things with younger kids, no? Sometimes we,
Yes, we believe that they may not know or understand, but
yeah,
they're absorbing from everywhere, except
and
from people who can regulate it, I think.
correct. And we only think that, they'll have problems when they become a teenager. We don't think
Yeah.
of trying to address it, or before it even comes up as a teenager, trying to address it there. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm going to make a note of that, because for those of us who are in the school system, maybe it'll be a great thing to introduce it earlier. So I was going to ask, how early do you think this should be introduced? But I think you mentioned grade 2 or 3. So,
Yes, see, from about age 8, their cognition is slowly evolving, and they're able to understand a few more, maybe, abstract concepts. So to engage their thought processes, it need not be something serious, it need not be a problem, but just what do you notice, if somebody is differently abled in class, or if someone is maybe crying for something, how does that make you feel, and what would you like to do about it? So just encouraging this sort of compassion. Yeah, even at age 7, 8, I see that they're open for it, they're ready for it.
mm,
And below that, they're not able to understand it, but they show it. A
okay.
child falls down, immediately you'll find the other child going there and hugging and kissing, or
Mm.
picking them up and wiping their tears. It's inbuilt in children.
Ah, okay, nice. So, another question that I have for you is, when we were growing up, and you and I, we went to the same school, and I'm sure you agree with me that, when I see kids of today, they're so different from, from when we were growing up. We were so like carefree. We didn't have all. I mean, everyone today at such a young age, they have all sorts of thoughts and struggles and this and that. Why is it? What is the reason for this?
There's so many reasons, I believe. See, starting from, I think, how our families were organized when we were growing up. Many of us lived with cousins, with multiple siblings, in joint families, and had exposure to so many people, where we could hone our social skills, right? Getting hurt, getting angry, feeling upset. We had so many opportunities at home itself to figure these things out. So by the time we got to school, or high school or college, we knew how to handle ourselves. We played on the streets, if you remember. We needed to be tough and sort of work and figure our way out on our own. So that's one. We're becoming so much more sort of siloed. Each family, fewer number of children. There's more working, both parents working, whereas earlier we would have typically at least a grandparent, or a mother at home, always available. So there was that secure attachment, which is getting challenged with more opportunities for women coming up. And I think this Gen Z, especially the new age kids, have so much knowledge from all sorts of sources, Google and TikTok and Insta, and it's information that's coming in, but it's not really processed intelligently or emotionally. Yeah, so what I find as a conflict is there's such a barrage of information, but so little awareness of self, that there's really this struggle between who am I and what am I seeing out there, and where does that leave me? And they know terms like, they're very woke, they know terms like, this psychological disorder, and I have these symptoms of depression, the older children. And I mean, if you look at any of those disorders, we'll probably tick off, you and me, to 4 or 5 of those symptoms. Yeah, but that doesn't make you really depressed or clinically anxious. And that sets off its own set of you know churning in their minds, I think. Yeah, so it's really multifaceted. We're so much more focused on consumerism today, rather than personal connection, relationships. It's multiple
Yeah.
reasons, I'd say, Anupa.
I think social media as well. I mean, see, I know that I also fall into that category where I don't feel like sometimes meeting people anymore. I'd rather just send a message, or, things like that. So imagine the younger kids then, if they are growing up in such an environment. So
Exactly.
it's scary. Anyway, going back to school, where you were talking about, wanting to introduce emotional literacy in schools. So
Yeah.
my question is, would someone like me or a regular teacher, if we are made aware, do you think that we could drive this in school, or would you suggest that we have only trained personnel or, somebody who studied it?
No, absolutely not. I think it's the need of the hour that not just teachers and educators, Anupa, but parents, yeah, learn and invest in upping their own emotional quotient. Yeah, to understand. See, because I can only take my child as far as I've myself gone. Yeah, as a parent, as a teacher. So when I've done the work, when I've invested, when I've understood what this is, I'm then able to hold that space for a child, be it to listen, to ask questions, allow them the space to talk, reach out with empathy. So I believe it's absolutely possible. And it's not to burden a teacher. I believe that, especially in India, a teacher's role is so minimized, sadly. We just don't give a teacher the importance that they deserve. Really, a child spends more time at school with a teacher than with their own parents at home, right? So it's not, I don't intend for it to be a burden on a teacher, but I think if we understood the value that the teacher brings to shaping that child and that future politician or entrepreneur or drummer, whoever it is, right? I think emotional connection with the teacher knowing how to handle that child can be invaluable for us.
Yes, I agree with you, because whenever we talk about changing the school system, I always talk about how we need to change the teacher first, because that teacher is playing the most important, crucial role in the entire system,
Exactly,
because they
exactly.
are spending so much time with the children. Anyway, thank you so much, Nisha. Before we leave, could you leave us with a lovely, heartwarming story about why you do what you do? Because I'm sure it's tough, yeah, dealing with so many different issues, different people. So, what makes you carry on?
Um, I think when I look at a child, I see so much resilience, so much innocence, so much creativity, just, this long path of potential. And I think that's what keeps me going. In terms of a story, a few years back, I worked with, I think it was an 8-year old who had an eating problem. This child was actually obese, and the parents were trying to help the child by regulating diet, by regulating exercise, putting her in so many different physical activities, swimming, running, and so on and so forth. And in slowly working with her through play, I understood, and in conversations with the parents, I understood that when the child was born, the day the child was born, the mother developed a complication and actually couldn't breastfeed the child for the first 14 days of the child's life. Yeah. And she developed an eating disorder just to feel that connection, that nurturing, the closeness. And so it wasn't diet or exercise that would have helped her. It was really over time feeling unconditionally loved despite her appearance, despite her habits of eating junk or whatever it was. To overlook that and to just fill her with love. And that is really the emotional aspect. We can fill so many empty spaces in us with that positivity, nurturing, and love.
Wow, that's a lovely story. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And Nisha, all the best with everything that you do. And I keep
Thank you.
seeing all your posts and all the various workshops. And I will share your profile in the description box below so that people can reach
Sure.
out to you. Thank you again, Nisha, and all the best for
Thank
it.
you. And to lots more conversations with Anupa.
Thank you so much. Bye for now.